occurred, and we thought that Obama was too tepid in his support of the people then, the populace, and the uprising. Trump's certainly been more vocal. If it were not for Starlink, we wouldn't have communications to know much about what's coming out of Iran. But people are being killed. There's reports of power washing being used in the streets to wash the blood away. Is this the most vigorous and hopeful opposition that we've seen, or is it just another one that's going to fizzle out?
It's a very important question, and I think there's a lot more to it than maybe meets the eye. But I do believe the fact that the mainstream media isn't talking about it probably says it's more important than we realize, in terms of, it appears that protests are now happening in at least 100 cities. It looks like Tehran may have come under nearly full control of the protesters. So this is not a light protest. They've had protests in the past, absolutely. And yes, a lot of mayhem from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. But this is going to be something to keep our eyes on for sure.
I think in 2009, Iran wasn't as economically fragile as they are now. At least that's my recollection. That's a bit of a game changer, isn't it? I mean, the people are really, really angry about that, as well as loss of their freedoms, too. So there seems to be more metrics driving the populist revolt this time, at least from the way I can decipher it. True or false?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, it was the Rial in 1978-79 when the revolution began for the mullahs and the Ayatollah was 70-1. It's now 1.4 million to 1, I believe. It's that high. It's literally like Weimarian Germany with taking wheelbarrow full of currency to try to buy bread, and that's what is being reported on the ground. So this is a perfect storm that's hit the mullahs. Even in my reporting in my book of how the IRCG and the corrupt mullahs were financing Hezbollah and Hamas, it was nothing even like this. Even 6 months ago, it's gotten even worse. So the economics are definitely, Randy, you're right. One of the if not the main variable, one of the top variables that have led to this uprising.
We're talking with Professor Kurt Jefferson, who has his latest book is The Wars of Israel, preceded by Contextualizing Security a couple of years ago, and he joins us now on Wake Up Missouri.
Kurt, Israel's strikes on Hamas and Hezbollah and what has happened in other Middle Eastern countries, the Iranians certainly have thrown out a lot of money. Has that led to more weakness of the mullahs?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think one of the things I've actually heard recently is the people were saying it's very similar, I think, to Europeans saying, why am I paying higher taxes and value-added taxes so the Greeks can retire at 59 or 55? It's a very similar kind of mindset. Peter, you've got the situation here that they're saying we're going into bankruptcy. We have 40% of our population have master's degrees or higher, and we're turning money over to Hamas and Hezbollah and to these terrorists, and then our pensions are going the way of the dodo, and so now we're becoming poorer and poorer and having to work 3 and 4 jobs. So I agree with you completely. I think that is a very important point. People finally said enough is enough. They're our co-religionists, but they're not really even our kinsmen. We're Shia, they're Sunni, and so why are we doing this to just basically support an axis of evil that really isn't getting our country anywhere?
Now, when we've heard before when it came to the trade wars that Trump was accused of being Taco Trump, right? Trump always chickens out. Now, he's saber-rattling, talking about even kinetic action. Apparently tomorrow, he's asked his advisors, the military people, to come up with a plan for action. Is this just another example of Donald Trump just, saying one thing and doing the other? And I guess more practically, what are the 1 or 2 or 3 things that America, vis-a-vis Donald Trump, could do to really support the revolution and push it over the goal line?
Well, I think, as you all know very well, Trump, being the business deal maker that he is, likes to talk big and then kind of back off and sometimes use incrementalism. We saw the opposite of that in Venezuela. But I also think there's a couple other variables here, Randy. I think, number one, Trump is a lame duck. We don't think about that since he's the first president in 128 years to be elected in non-consecutive terms. But the reality is Trump is a lame duck, and Trump is sitting back saying, I can do what I want. I'll continue to make the left mad. I'll continue to make the global leaders mad. But I also think he does have to be careful. But even I have been on talking about these things on your show and saying, well, I'm not sure if he'd actually go and bomb and take out the nuclear arsenal of Iran. And, of course, he went and did it. Now, again, I do think Trump has to be careful. I think he's a Kissingerian realist, and there's a lot of talk in the media about is he a neocon? I don't think he has a grand strategy. I think he looks at the world as it is, and I think he just acts in terms of the national self-interest to the nth degree of the United States. And as a result, I think he sees the oil connection. He sees two failing states in Iran and definitely a failed state in Venezuela, and says these can be a lot more efficient in working for our interests and Israel's and others in our orbit.
Well, let's switch about our orbit to the Caribbean and South America and Venezuela. So the context of, or the pretext of now what appears to be an oil grab was the apprehension of and deposing of Maduro. But then again, I mean, the Monroe Doctrine served us well for a while. It's been called the Donroe Doctrine. I saw one headline that said, mixed with Teddy Roosevelt, speak loudly, a version of Teddy Roosevelt, speak loudly and carry a big stick, a la Donald Trump. How's it working out for us?
Well, I think Trump has to be careful. I think in some ways, again, I think he's a realist, but I also think he reminds me a lot, and I know some of you may disagree completely with the metaphor, the connection, but it reminds me of Napoleon, fighting these kind of extended wars against revolutionary powers. I think we need to remember the U.S. was a revolutionary power. Polk, as president of the United States, James K. Polk invaded Mexico in 1848 to give us a buffer zone. That's very much what Napoleon used to do. The only thing that Trump has to be careful of is taking American empire and going into imperial overstretch. I think if we just say, well, we're going to next go to Cuba, next go to Brazil with Lula, who's a socialist, and all that, we're gonna run out of room and resources pretty quickly. So he's going to have to be very, very careful. I agree with you. I think it was mainly to secure the oil, 18% of the world's oil reserves. And the extent to which he can pull that off to bring gas prices down here, but also benefit other countries in the world oil market is another question altogether from an economic standpoint.
We're talking with Kurt Jefferson, used to be at Westminster College, now at Spalding, and a professor of global security. All right, so you're a master of all things geopolitical. Is Greenland as important to the national security of America as Donald Trump says it is?
Well, I'm not sure. I think he's looking at what Russia's trying to do in the Arctic, not just with oil, but strategically with surveillance and so forth. But I also think the I guess technical owners, speaking of empire, Denmark, are also involved up in the Arctic, even beyond Greenland. And I would think he'd want to partner with Denmark to figure out how to do the my enemy's enemy is my friend with Russia and Canada too. I realize that the domestic Canadian thing with Trump is a little difficult right now, but if Canada was smart, they would be working with us to figure out what the next moves are with regard to Greenland. But I would say I would hold off given what just transpired with Venezuela, but I'm a little more cautious than Donald John Trump. So we'll see what our illustrious president has to say about that. And his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who I'm down here scouting to see if he'll be the next head coach at Alabama in football. So we'll just see what happens with that.
What can't Marco Rubio really do? I mean, it's he's doing like 5 jobs and doing them well. So I think that's great.
Well,
Absolutely.
Well, Professor Kurt Jefferson, when J.D. Vance ascends to the presidency in 28, I'm nominating you for SOS. Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely. I would take dog catcher. I think that would be fine as
All right.
well.
I'm going to do, and I'm serious about that. I'll send a letter. Hey, thanks a lot, Kurt. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you, Randy and Peter and John. Good to hear from y'all and good to talk to y'all. Take care.
All righty. There he is. Kurt Jefferson. He's got a really good eagle eye on things and putting them together. When we come back, Peter's going to bring you the market report. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up
Here's the morning bell. How the market's looking, Peter?
Well, there's a little profit taking going on this morning. After last week's just boom week, considering after the whole run of arresting Maduro and dealing with all those issues, NASDAQ closed at a record high on Friday. Today it's going to be a little bit different. Don't look too closely at your at your mutual funds and stocks because it's going to be down today. Dow Jones futures are off 319 points before trading. NASDAQ futures off 192 points, and S&P 500 futures are off 37 points.
Ouch.
This may be a good day to buy towards the end of the day if you throw some money in on a weekly basis or something like this. This may be your opportunity to be a part of it. But after last week's gains, which were so impressive, there was always going to be a profit-taking situation. Bitcoin is trading just above 90,000, off a little bit. Ethereum is off $43 per coin. Doge and Shiba Inu are also down. So basically everything in the cryptocurrency markets are down as well. President Trump is going after credit card companies, wanting to come up with a limit for how much interest they can charge.
Between that and now the DOJ launching an investigation into Jerome Powell, that's probably creating the turbulence, huh? You think that's what's going on?
I would think so.
Yeah.
And just being fair, Powell was real late to the party when inflation under Biden was growing exponentially. Mm-hmm. He should have been raising the interest rates a lot earlier. And as the economy has been in a place right now where we're in a recovery situation and realizing some of the headwinds having to do with housing, having to do with a number of different things like that, lowering the interest rates should have been a more aggressive stance, especially early in 2025, and they're still too high. Anyone who's looking to buy a home or refinance a home or perhaps finance a business, etc., the interest rates they're paying are way too high at the moment, and quite frankly, it's stifling economic growth.
Labor market is stagnant. Basically, it's a hold them close to the vest with employees from an employer standpoint, right?
Correct.
They're not doing a whole lot of movement right now because I think there's a lot of unpredictability from their standpoint. Tariffs, their supply chains, their demand on the other side, no one knows. And so things are a bit stagnant, and that's the other part of the Fed charge is to keep unemployment low. Well, sometimes there's some competing interests there.
And again, I think that Jerome Powell goes on and on that he has concerns about inflation.
Yeah.
And, well, all of us do. The problem is that we are in a position where we could be in a deflationary mode if these interest rates remain too high. It is time to get it going. It's time to start building homes. Our housing issues all over Missouri are really, really stifling economic growth because people cannot find homes. There's not enough places, so people are paying exponentially more than they should for where they're living.
The other thing is that Trump is trying to go after these large, the Blackstones and others. Is BlackRock?
BlackRock, yes.
Blackstone's the grill. BlackRock that are buying up homes in large amounts.
In fact, there are some communities around the country like Charlotte where nearly every house that goes on the market gets sold to a hedge fund.
Yeah, ouch. What do you think about cutting credit card interest rates? That sounds attractive on the face of it. Let's unpack that when we come back on Wake Up Missouri.
Has America been fair to Donald Trump? The people always know.
So we're back on Wake Up Missouri as we continue to look at the rapidly moving world at the speed of Trump. And it is just, there is never a lack of things for us to think and talk with you about and to get your opinion on. Peter's in for Stephanie this hour. I'm Randy. There's John and Drake. John's had his ears lowered, and here we got the cold weather coming. Not good timing, John. Not good timing.
What can I say?
Yeah, should have kept the
I'm
insulation.
jealous of you, John.
Yeah, me too.
And Randy, holy capoli, he just said, he was saying to me during the break, I'm envious of him.
Yes.
Because John Marsh has a full head of hair.
Yeah.
John and I were hanging out on Friday.
Yes, we were.
And he had, this full thing of hair going on. Yeah. And I should have just sat there and started guilting him. Never cut the damn hair again. You've got a full head of hair. I wish I did. Holy capoli.
I think we need extensions. Lots of them.
That'd work, Well,
hey, I'm getting pretty good at. Stephanie told me about extensions. We talked about that a few months ago. About all the women on the TV now have the extensions. You can tell the difference. Christy Noem needs to get an extension color matcher to work on her. You can tell. It's pretty obvious. Some of the others on there.
And by the way, here's I have some bad news I have to share.
What is this?
Tater tots. I love them. Do you love the tater tots? Yeah, you do.
I have to admit I like them.
Yeah, who doesn't? You're a man.
Yeah.
They've been recalled in a number of states.
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Orida and...
Orida, big name.
Yes, Cisco Imperial Tater Tots. So that's good.
Wow.
They found some hard plastic in some of them.
So if you were going to use your credit card to buy some Premier Tater Tots, would you be happy that the president has claimed that he is going to cap rates at 10%? You think it's a good deal or a bad deal?
I think the idea here is I think that credit is too easily given out at very high interest rates, preying on the poorest among us.
Yep.
And the idea here that there is some sort of cap on the percentage of interest rates makes a whole lot of sense. Now, I'm not a banker. I don't understand the intricacies of return and default and all that sort of stuff. But I have ACE's credit, and I don't have a lot of debt. My credit's in the mid 700s, so solid. And my credit cards are at, for the small balance I have, 25%.
Yeah.
And that's ridiculously high.
And that's because you're paying for the easy credit that other people default on. So
Correct.
I think for folks who pay their bills, some pay their credit card off every month. I mean, we try to do that every month. And we like to get those points for airline miles or whatever perk you're getting. I think that my rate's going to be higher, and as everyone else that pays their bills, because of the defaulters, right? They have to make up for those people that declare bankruptcy and stuff.
And again, it's I look at the idea of the interest rates and how this is handled by the banks, which technically are a governor or are sanctioned and regulated by the federal and state governments. I think the idea of having a real discussion about ridiculous interest rates that prey upon people is certainly worth going out and grabbing. Now, does it crush the credit? The ability to get credit for people with bad credit, and I think that's a fair thing. And it very well could, but it would be better long run for them. Probably would.
The consumer advocates are saying, well, if credit becomes unavailable to some as a result of a lowering of the rates, and it appears as though Congress would have to do this. I don't think the president can do this just by fiat, but let's say that somehow the rates were lowered, or if the companies were forced to lower the rates. They've already said, they've come out over the weekend very forcefully and said, that's fine, lower the rates. We're going to have to cut out access to a lot of people. And then the consumer advocates come back and say, well, that means that then they'll be subjected to the loan sharks and the payday lenders, which are incredibly high rates. Well, to me, that's the market. I just let the market be the market. Dave Ramsey's probably saying, go for it, man. We don't need those kind of easy credit rates.
Well, but again, that's easy to say. It's the market has been severely restricted by continuing mergers of banks throughout the country over the last 40 years, that the percentage of choices that most Americans have to go out and shop for credit has become a much smaller bowl.
Why does this seem like a different chapter of the book that we say a lot, which is, for whatever reason, there's got to be a unifying reason. You're talking about consolidation in an industry that in an industry that squelches competition and prices, right?
Yeah, and that's what.
How about healthcare, right? Same deal.
Or healthcare, food, whatever it is, and for cell phone.
Talk about food. It's the distribution channels that have consolidated.
Well, it's not just the distribution. It is just next time you go to the grocery store, whichever one you go to. I like the microwave popcorn. Are you good on that?
Ooh, there's some toxins in there, Peter. We have to talk about that. You need a Whirly Pop. I'll get you a Whirly Pop the next time I see one.
Okay.
There's toxins in there. No, you don't want to do that.
I don't do it all the time, but an occasional toxin's good stuff. And so
maybe that explains. No, I'm not going to go there.
Do you really want to go there?
No, I don't want to go there. He's the boss. I'm not going there.
And no, because the shot back will be. So if you go there and just look at the packaging, is that nearly all, there's going to be sometimes 8 different brands on the shelf, and they're normally made by or owned by the same people. Like there's
Conagra.
2 or 3 Conagra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the other thing is that they have changed, is that it used to be that it was required on packaging, like if you went and got the Great Value or the Hy-Vee generic or whichever grocery store you go to, they would have to say where the food was packaged or put together.
Okay.
That no longer is the case. And so you will go and you'll pick up, it'll say, okay, Great Value popcorn. Okay, great. Likely it was made at the same place.
Just different private labeled.
Yeah, it's a private label, and they no longer are required to say who puts it together. So a lot of times, a lot of the foods that we buy are made in the same factory. And they may have a bunch of different brands, but they're made in the same factory. Okay.
Well, and again, that makes the point, right? That emphasizes the point that we're really in this environment that if you're a grocer, you only have a couple of options, right? And where you're going to get that product from. And you have to, which means they can control the market. There's supposed to be antitrust laws that regulate the percentage of a market that you can have. They have ways around that.
Yeah, it has. And a lot of it is because these international companies, there is, in fact, Vicky Hertzler explained this to me. She said a lot of times that the treaties that we have signed, these international treaties, have eliminated some of that information from what we would have before.
Of course, the others that are advocates of this say, hey, there's economies of scale. If I'm the Conagra, I can buy things cheaper, I can get my supplies cheaper, and I pass it on to the consumer. I'm not sure that always works out. Let's talk to Karen. Hi, Karen. Welcome to Wake Up Missouri.
Hi. Thank you so much. I worked for an online lending institution and have some insight I can give to your listeners.
Please.
So about 40% of the people in the U.S. can't afford a $400 bill. And so what online lending does is they figure out what your risk is, and they adjust your interest to your risk. And about 50% of the people they lend to don't pay. So the issue I have with credit cards is everybody is considered the worst risk, and they give everybody that same high rate. So if we make it 10%, it's good for those of us who are judicious with our usage, but it doesn't help the company when their bad people they lend to don't pay. So my opinion would be, yeah, for a month, I think he's just trying to win some points. But we need to get them to lend on risk, not on just one number.
Well, you'd think that would be a good business model. Why wouldn't they do that? I mean, if they know that Karen pays her bills not on time, but early. Karen is such a Girl Scout that she does that. And then she should get a break in her rates. That makes sense to me. But don't you know, Karen, we're in this socialist society of ours, and Marxist mentality where, we're all going to spread the pain and spread the wealth and everyone is the same and we all eat vanilla and no one gets any sprinkles on their ice cream because we're all the same. I think that's the way it is.
They don't make money. We don't get credit. So everybody needs to win here.
All right. Well, Karen's got a win-win-win solution. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's sort of like the credit card companies, that go with some of those kind of entry-level products where they've got the secured credit cards and usually a young person has to put down a cash deposit to go against it so they can lower the rate down on that. There's some options out there.
I mean, can you imagine?
It's not just all 50% credit ratings.
Can you imagine Drake Whitman applies for his first credit card and then you get along with that a profile picture that shows him with his naked chest painted, rooting for the lady softball Tigers.
Would you give this man a credit builder loan?
I'm sorry. No,
Randy,
it's not going to happen.
I'm concerned here. That was the first thing that came to your mind.
I'm always trying to figure a way to rib Drake because he's a good sport about it.
Yeah,
he's a good sport about it.
Yeah, I think the greatest problem is the lack of choices that we have as consumers. And I think if we're going to do something to help the economy, no matter where we are, we will be encouraging more competition and creating avenues that go through it, and also looking at our monopolization laws and apply them again.
That's the big issue, and that's where the Federal Trade Commission and the current battles in the courts with Trump's ability to hire and fire more flexibly, right?
Yes.
I think that's important. I mean, the American people elect a president to do more than just maintain the status quo. They usually do it for change.
And by the way, when people go in and they start new things, so Randy, let's just say you come up with the Randy Tobler vitamin.
Well, you haven't heard?
Okay. And so the Randy Tobler vitamin that has all sorts of special stuff in it can make us live a long time, very, very healthy and happy.
Yes.
Well, he doesn't have to build a factory. You would go and hire a factory that's already there to make your your stuff.
Probably owned by One A Day.
Correct.
That's the problem, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to pay a higher price than One A Day for the ones they market. Yep, that's the problem. All right. Well, when we come back, we'll wrap it up on the leftovers. More coming up on Wake Up Missouri.
It's Wake Up
the program when we talk about leftovers as we keep our eye on things going on in Minnesota and Iran and Cuba and Venezuela and Greenland and Ukraine. And, there's a council meeting, I guess, tonight at Columbia where they're going to maybe resurrect that pedestrian panhandling thing, Oh, no, it's about pedestrians. Sorry.
Yes.
It's not about panhandling. I'm sorry. John, what do you have on your leftover plate?
This is a story from our buddy Don Luzader. Springfield has had the baby born at Buc-ee's. The wonders of wildlife, baby. And now, stand by the Deer Lake Golf Course, baby.
Oh.
Sonny Oliver Christensen, who is the son of golf pro Todd Christensen, made his debut on Christmas Day in the parking lot of the golf course.
As it should be.
Wow.
Yep. Todd and his wife Nadine were headed to the hospital, but had to drop off their daughter at the golf course with a friend, to which Nadine told her husband, I'm having this baby right now, and was right. Had the baby, parking lot of the golf course. Everybody's doing great.
Wow. What a story that kid will have to tell, huh? Babies that are born in that way, it's just, there's something magic about it, right?
Yeah.
That becomes, they're already an instant legend, so. That's great. And
Speaking of legendary.
Yes, sir.
Sydney Sweeney, and we all like her.
Nice jeans.
She's great.
Good jeans.
And she's been dating Scooter Braun, who is a very famous musical entrepreneur.
Okay.
Multi, probably close to $1 billion.
In what genre?
Variety of stuff.
Okay.
He started off as an agent.
I see.
He was the agent for Justin Bieber, among others, and now he's a record company owner.
Okay.
They've been dating a while, and he's upset.
Why?
A lot of pro athletes are slipping into Sydney's DMs on the Instagram.
Oh.
And he's saying, she belongs to me.
Yeah.
She and I are together.
I got this dance.
Stop hitting on my gal.
I got this dance. Don't cut in. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And you have to think about this, is that probably the attractive thing for somebody who's very rich is not a gal that's going to get that much attention. Why don't you find yourself some homely girl from Kansas?
I don't know. What would Sydney Sweeney be attracted to? A music producer, more likely, or a sports star?
Well,
We'll have to ask her.
Yeah, long-term money-wise.
Yeah.
The guy who owns a record company and who's an agent and all that stuff.
Does she need to worry about money?
Hey,
Not
you know
really.
what? You can't have enough money. And the back end, by the way, for artists has changed dramatically.
No pun intended.
They used to make a lot of money off of, if you had a TV series, TV syndication, or DVD sales and all that sort of stuff. That has totally changed, where all of a sudden you have people who've made a lot of movies, made a lot of TV shows, and all of a sudden they're running out of money. And we've had Mickey Rourke and Denise Richards have both been in the news for not being able to pay their rents.
Yeah, wow.
Wasn't Scooter Braun the guy that bought Taylor Swift's catalog and then sold it at a huge profit?
Yes.
There's a lot of bad blood between those two. To this day,
So
I think, right?
she bought it back, but big bucks.
Yeah, it was, so he went and bought the record company. Ironically enough, she shouldn't have been whining that much.
Yeah.
Who was the co-owner of that record company? Her dad.
Oh, well, there you go.
I just got to think, what a loser. I mean, if you're some soy boy who makes music albums and sits around the campfire with a guitar, and you're dating the hottest freaking woman in America, I mean, I feel like he's holding her back. Let her go date whatever quarterback she wants. I mean,
but maybe,
but it's love. It's lust on his part.
Yeah, it's so much love. He's so insecure. What a loser.
She might have a lot stronger foundation than we all know. Remember when she was asked by that reporter, do you want to walk that back? Do you want to? She says, no, basically. Like go to where.
No, she has a strong back.
She's got to have one with that music boyfriend.
We'll leave it there.
Man, I'm not touching that.
I'm not going there for a million miles. No way. No how. Thanks for hanging in, Peter. Appreciate it. We might be back tomorrow if the FCC doesn't take us off the air. Hope you join us then.